Welcome to Cardamom Chai Podcast with Roma and Jasnoor. I'm Jasnoor.
Hi everyone, this is Roma. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode. We are going to be talking about a book today.
So we're going to be talking about a book today. It's a special episode, and the book is called The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I hope I'm saying that right. We'll check our pronunciations after maybe. But before we get into our book, Roma, how's life been for you?
Life has been okay. It's always just, I don't know, it's always just okay for me, Jasnoor, which is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I mean, it beats not having bad things happen.
That's true. That's a positive way of looking at it. But no, life's been, I can say good because, you know, I'm liking the weather and I'm liking just how bright it stays till late at night. So that way it's better. It keeps the mood better, helps you go out on walks and stuff outside.
Did you see last Monday that everyone woke up to like snow on the ground?
Yeah.
And I had to drive to work that morning, and I was like driving down Stony.
Yeah.
I think people got used to it being nice and warm, and it was slippery on the highway.
Yeah.
There was at one point where I was going carefully, not slow, but like I was slower than the fast people. But at one point there were 3 cars around me that were trying to brake and spinning out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Bro.
That was, so that's the scariest like driving situation I've ever been in. And I'm already like an anxious driver. So to experience that, I was like, oh my God, like these cars are gonna hit me. But luckily I was like slow enough.
Yeah.
And the car in front of me had their flashers on because they were trying to be slow and everything.
Yeah.
And I usually keep a big distance between the car in front of me and me when it's icy and I know that they're dangerous situations.
Yeah.
And that literally, I think, saved me because if I was to brake at that point,
Yeah.
I would have spun out too, and I would have hit someone or someone would have hit me, or I don't know.
We're not used to ice, Jasnoor, as much as other places because it's normally just snow, right? And then we are used to snow and we are used to going like, okay, because the snow is also dry and everything, so we're used to things like that, but we're not really used to ice as much, especially like early mornings when people would be going to work. Not only is it cold, but the previous days all the snow melted, freezes overnight, turning into ice. And then early mornings, no one has been on roads as much yet. So the snow hasn't really been driven on so many times for it to melt enough. So I understand like early mornings and late nights would be just so bad. I sort of remember, I think my husband also had to go out that day and he was telling me that like it was very icy on the roads.
Well, not to just take over you talking about your week, but you mentioned like sunny weather and I was like, let me tell you. But because it was pretty nice and sunny like that day actually, because it all melted. But I think because I got to work at like 7:30 I think that day, and it was so icy. I can't wait for summer.
Your favorite season of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was my week. Not much happening with me working from home and everything, which is nice. I don't really mind that. But yeah, how was your week?
My week was good. So I've been like trying to read a lot more. In January, I read 9 books.
Yeah.
Cause I was like on my game and like reading so much. In February, I read 4 books.
Oh, okay. Slow month
because I was busy.
For some people, 4 books is still like, oh my God, like, you know, 1 book is not even like, people can't even finish 1 book. Just 4 books. Okay. Slow month for just
slow month. Because I was really busy with work. And then now it's March. I've only read 2 books and we're like mid-March already. I'm not as busy anymore. So I think it might be because of the book that I picked up. This book is like a space opera filled with politics, aliens, and different planets and different civilizations
politics and aliens combined.
Yes.
In a book.
I don't like reading about politics in any concept, but this made it so interesting. And the book had some really, really deep messaging. And I get it.
Okay.
The book actually won a Hugo Award in 2021, I want to say. It's called Memory Called Empire. And the second book is called Desolation Called Peace. Both of the books won the same award, which is rare to do that. And I finished the second book actually just today.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so those were like lengthy books that predictably would take longer to finish. I'm blaming it on that, but like my stats for the year is to read 60 books this year, and I feel like I'm falling behind.
Wait, okay, so you read books on Audible, right? Is that the app you use?
Yeah, I use Audible, and I use the Libby app, which is the library one.
Okay.
And then I do have a physical book. So I've read one physical book this year, and then the rest of them have been audiobooks.
So then for Audible, you pay for the subscription, and then you have to purchase the books on there as well. Because I think you get like one book free per month, right?
Yeah, you get one book per month for free. And then sometimes they have sales going on, so you can get like a book for $3-4, which is not bad. And then I get a lot of books from the library as well, so I'll just put them on hold. But the 9 books that I read in January, I have, I don't know, like 5 credits saved up.
Okay.
And I used them all in for that one series that I read in January. I just could not wait for the library to, the hold to come available. So I just smashed through that.
When I wanted to read The Husbands, the book we are discussing today, I did look up the library that we have. There were a lot of, like the number was huge for holds for the online version. And I was like, wow, like I purchased it because I'm like, I didn't want to wait, and I didn't know if I would be able to get it and then finish it on time for us to record the podcast. So yeah, like library as well, like very busy with not just like physical copy holds, but also like the digital versions.
Yeah, the ebooks, and they have the audiobooks on there as well. So yeah, that takes a while to get around. I think I also listened to The Husbands, so I didn't actually physically read it. I listened to it. I listened to it a while ago, but I think I placed it on hold close to when it was released, and then once it became available, I listened to it, and I really, really enjoyed it. But the books that I just finished this month, the first book was actually available for free on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have some books that are free. So sometimes that's very handy. And because I am trying to read like a lot more older books, so things that, as a science fiction reader, that would be like your basics. I'm trying to read those as well. And a lot of the time, those are just available for free in a lot of places. The author may have died for some of them, or they're just not in publication anymore. So you can just get free copies. I try to make it work that way. Otherwise, it would be a very expensive hobby.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can imagine that. But okay, good. Thanks for sharing all the possible ways of trying to make it affordable hobby then.
Yeah. And I do go to a used bookstore. So in Calgary, there is one called Fair's Fair. And that's a great bookstore. You can pick a book out and, buy it.
Yeah.
If you've read it and you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to keep it. You can give it back to them and you get half the price back.
There are a couple of used bookstores in Kensington.
Yeah.
As well. I got The Husbands from there.
Oh, nice.
Really nice condition. Like, it doesn't even feel like a used book.
Yeah. There's a really popular series called The 3-Body Problem. I got the entire series for about $40.
Okay.
And if you are to actually buy it like from a bookstore, I think you would go for like $60-70. Okay. And I was just able to get it at the bookstore. I apparently got very, very lucky because that's a very, very popular book series. Even the cashier, when I picked it up, they were like, oh my God, I can't believe you found this, because everyone's been like looking for this series. So you're very lucky that you found it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So you can get some really good gems at used bookstore. This is going to be a very book heavy topic.
Yes, yes. It's a good topic. Jasnoor, do you want to give a summary of the book?
Yes, okay, let's do it. The book is called Husbands by Holly Gramazio. And the book is about a 20-something-year-old named Lauren. So she shows up home after a night out and discovers there's a stranger in her house, but he seems to know her. He is actually her husband from what he says, and she has no idea what's going on. Because when she left for that night, she did not have a husband. She was single. So she eventually goes into her home and she is trying to figure out what's going on. And this guy is in her phone as her husband. She has text conversations that are on her phone with him, and it seems like she's just maybe lost her memory. But what happens is that, so the guy is called Michael. His name's Michael. She's trying to figure it out, but then Michael goes up the attic ladder to change a light bulb, and when he comes back down from the attic, he's a completely different guy, a completely different husband. This husband is even more handsome than the first one, but Lauren does not know who he is either, so she sends this one back up to the attic to look for Michael, the original husband. And when he comes back, this time there's a third guy, totally different husband. So this keeps happening to her each time a husband goes up the attic. When they come back, there's a new one in their place. Things around her have changed as a result as well. So every time a new husband comes down, the apartment's a little different. She's in contact with some of her friends, some not her friends. She's in contact with her family, and in some cases she's really upset with her family and she's not a part of their life anymore. She experiences dozens and dozens of husbands. She realizes that she's completely launched into a different parallel version of her life every time this happens. So this is just Lauren discovering what endless possibilities there are of her husbands and seeing what works for her and trying to figure that out. Before I move ahead with spoiling the book, I'm going to say we are going to spoil the book in this discussion. So if you wanted a spoiler-free version, maybe check something else out, or just read the book and come back if you do want to experience the book from what I've said so far. Okay, continuing on. So she meets one guy throughout this experience, and this guy seems to know what is going on. He's experiencing the same thing, but for him, he just goes back into whatever the closet or the attic it might be for him, and he's completely thrown into a different situation. He's changing where he's living, so sometimes he might pop out in Australia or Canada or America or whatever, wherever, so he never knows when he's going inside. I think for him it was a closet, right? Mm-hmm. And whenever he's going inside a closet, he does not know where he could pop out. So it's a little bit more scary situation for him. And so they kind of share what their situations have been like. And she really struggles to narrow down who she wants to end up with. But at the end, she ends up deciding on a completely random guy. But she makes sure that she has the right life she wants. So she's connected to the best friends that she has, connected to her sister and her sister's life. She's on good terms with her mom and everything, and she's working the job that she likes and everything. So as long as those situations are good and she's happy, otherwise she just picks the last guy and burns down the attic so it doesn't happen ever again. And it had so many messages in that whole situation. So Roma, what did you think about the book?
First of all, thanks for the whole summary and everything. Okay, when we first decided to talk about this book in our podcast, and you had briefly told me what it's about and everything, I got very excited about it, thinking that, this is something that today's generation will be able to really relate with, mm-hmm. in terms of how she experiences different partners in a way. Mm-hmm. It sounds a lot like dating, and how, people would be finding a new person once, the person they are currently dating is not working out, and then they would go find someone else. So it's similar type of situation, only to find out that actually in her case it's slightly different in terms of her surroundings and other people in her life, mm-hmm. as well. that's the difference that this book brings.
But Roma, sorry to interrupt, but one thing I want to say is that if you're with the guy that's totally not good for you, you kind of end up losing the friends you have because you make the guy your priority. So in a way, even if this was completely normal situation, you yourself change your surroundings because of the person you're with. I think it could be a little bit of a direct comparison too in that manner.
You're right. Actually, that's a good point, because if you are, depending on what kind of person you are, your surroundings tend to change. Your people around you tend to change as well. And maybe when in the book, it's only a snippet of the life that she could have with a certain partner, right, that they are showing in the book. So it's almost like the beginning and then the end is sort of missed, but just a snippet of it is inserted here in the book to say that, okay, if you were with this partner, then you wouldn't have this person as your best friend, and you wouldn't be in a good relationship with your sister and things like that, sort of to show that. Anyway, overall, I thought the book is much deeper than what it looks like, given that it talks about self-discovery. For one, is like you trying to figure out what you truly want from life, having that scenario based situation where it's like, okay, imagine you actually getting the things you want, but just in different partners, which is not really practical. How do you make it in a way that you get all of it just in the same person, and that person would be yourself only? you can't really go find it in somebody else, right? So I thought that was one of the best messages that I got out of this book, and it's very deep in that sense, right? Like there's obviously other messages that this book has in terms of like being there emotionally for your partner, and depending on how they are as a person, because there are like, I think like 7 different husbands that she experiences. Obviously there is more than that, because she sometimes sees more than one husband in the same day, depending on how many times they go in the attic and things like that. So obviously there is more, but in her experience, there are 7, I think, husbands that she has. Really good sense of understanding on relationships, your own self, and making the best out of what you have rather than constantly looking for the best out there.
I think that like nailed it right on the head. People are constantly trying to look for the best thing. This book, maybe like best thing isn't attainable because it's not out there. And you have to make it best for you of what you have. Because, you're right. She explored a different type of relations. And, you bring that up. And I now realize every single situation was a different type of relationship you could be in. One of them was like a friendship one, which is with the guy that knew what was going on because he had the same thing. That was a friendship relationship. There was one that was an abusive relationship with that one scary dude. Amos was an ex of her originally, and she in one of the times she actually gets together with him and then realizes that this is a terrible relationship. There was one that she was like infatuated. There was Carter, that she was absolutely in love with that guy, and he just got away. So like that was a concept of the one that got away, right? The author really explored different type of relationships you could have and experience in your lifetime. I think she really did a really good job of, well, there's so many different things out there, and what's gonna work for you might not work for someone else. At the end, what she realized was that as long as she's happy with the life she's created for herself, all those core things, it doesn't matter who the guy is, because if she's made that perfect life for her, she's gonna pick a guy that's gonna match that life, or that guy is going to bring that life to her. So no matter who it is, you could fall in love with that guy because you almost share values with him, right? The importance of being close to your family. If that guy is going to share that value, obviously you're going to be close to your family and you're going to see that reflected, right?
Mm-hmm.
She gets obsessed with one plant that she buys every time there's a new husband, and she has to stick with that husband for a while. In the end, like the guy that she sticks with, even though we don't know much about that guy at the end, that guy has rescued that plant for her from the fire. And that just shows you, like, you know, I did pick the right guy because that guy cares about what I think.
Yeah.
Even though I don't really know that guy that well, but because of my values around my life are matching, maybe I've done a good job of picking the right person that's going to care for me as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really becomes more about you rather than the other guy.
I think there was this one guy, Jason, right? He was the one that was from the past connection that she had. I don't know. I think in terms of husbands, who did you think was the best for her, or that you liked as the best husband?
Well, I really liked Carter. Because he was so good. It just seemed like the perfect relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of sympathize with her because she went back to America to try to find that guy, and it just never worked with them because they were just completely different people. At the time, like, I think they were only together for like 3-4 days, not a long time, but like that relationship seemed perfect.
Yeah,
that's what I would go for, but that's just the hopeless romantic in me. Because we, like, at the end, we don't really know about the guy she ends up with.
The Sam guy. Yeah.
We have no idea who he is, so I can't really say, that's the guy. That's a relationship I liked because we never saw the relationship.
Right.
What about you?
Okay, so given the book was really focused on self-discovery and everything, that's one reason. And another is I truly believe that you really just get what you need in life and not really what you want. So I think based on that, I thought the guy named Felix, I think he was a good turning point for her in the book. This is the guy who was the rich husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And his rich lifestyle and everything, it was like fun for her at first, but then it sort of became not really normal, and she wanted to go back to her normal life and like the life, like, you know, sort of reevaluate her lifestyle and her values in life and everything. I thought that guy was like a good need for her at that time, and I think that was sort of the point where she started sort of reevaluating, and the whole self-discovery sort of started, because you would think that, hey, you know, if I marry a rich guy, like, what else do I need, right? Like, you have all the money in the world, like, what do you need to be happy otherwise? Only for you to find out that really happiness is just something that's within. Obviously money does play a role and everything, speaking realistically, but at the end of the day, the sustainable way of looking at it is through your own self, is like, okay, how do you deal with yourself and your own demons and your own emotions? Do you have control over your thoughts and your actions and all of that, right? I think that guy was the one where it sort of really just started for her to look more into herself and then basically take steps towards the self-discovery side of things. So I thought that husband was very much of a need for her. So I would say that one in the book.
Yeah. Do you remember that guy that was just like the likable guy that everyone liked, and she just never liked the guy? And he's the one who like broke his back and was in the hospital for a while.
Was that the Rohan guy?
No. That was the guy who was having an affair with the neighbor.
Right.
No, this was the guy that like everyone liked, and she just was like, oh my god, no one hates this guy. But he was the laziest guy ever, and he would not go into the attic. And she's like, oh my god, he's broken his back because he was trying to get into the attic for her.
Oh yeah, the one that falls down. Yeah, and then she has to take care of him and everything.
Yeah, and she has to force him almost to get into the attic so she can take off, because she's like, I'm not going to be a good wife for you because I'm not going to be able to take care of you. Oh my god, that was like so annoying. I was like, let's move on to the next one. I don't like this one.
You were on the same page with her.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. How would you react if you were Lauren?
So at first, obviously, it's a mind-blowing thing when you figure out that, okay, you have a stranger. Like when I first started the book, even though I sort of knew what was happening and everything, it is a bit of a shocker in terms of like she would probably doubt herself, and it's more like a feeling like, are you delusional sort of thing. But then eventually, as you like get through like more and more partners and try to like get through all the, you know, relationships and the day-to-day that's happening, I would probably be very like, me as Roma would probably run away from this situation.
Honestly,
but that's just me.
I would feel so trapped. I would feel trapped because every time the person came, my whole life changes. What do you mean my whole life changes? What do you mean I'm not working at my own job anymore? What do you mean I have to learn how to do something else that I've never done before? I'm not talking to my friends anymore, or I have different friends, or like things have just completely turned around for me. Like, and then you're just always stuck to a guy. Like, you just lose your independence. Like, you can never have an alone moment anymore. I get it. When you're in a relationship, that's the life you choose. But you choose it. She never chose any of that, right? I would feel so trapped. I felt trapped for her because she was like, oh my God, there's always going to be a guy around now. Like, how do I get rid of this? She eventually got there when she was like the Amos guy came down, and but he left, and because they were never working out, and she actually had some time to herself. So I think what I have written down is here that she discovers a little thrill when Amos leaves their shared apartment, and she finds herself with the freedom to do whatever she wants without having to consider anyone else's schedule or feelings. Is this sense of freedom ever possible within a couple, or can it be only found when one is single? Like, that's one thing I came across was like, you're getting all these couples, you're getting all these husbands, but you're never alone, you're not independent, and you lose all your freedom. So then, is freedom ever only possible when you're single? What do you think about that?
No, I don't think it's possible only when you're single. No, because we practice that right now, like in our relationship, we practice that right now. Have to be realistic in the sense that, okay, some things, if you have to do them together, you have to do them together. But then when there's like literally free time, then it's your personal free time. Like, you do whatever you want. Like, obviously you're not gonna be getting rid of the responsibilities as long as you are like done through your responsibilities, and then if you have some free time, it's your free time, it's your personal free time. Or if you plan your day accordingly and you plan a certain amount of time in a day to be your personal time, then it is your personal time. You do whatever you want during that time. You won't be able to do the things that single people do, maybe, right? Like, no, you won't be able to go out and like, you know, meet potential partners or any, like, none of those things. Like, not the same actions as single people, but time for sure. You get your own free time and everything. So you do have to like consider somebody else's feelings, like your partner's feelings or your partner's time, in the sense that, okay, if you have to allocate some of your day's time for your partner, then you have to do that. They're your partner. But then that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be left with any free time for your own self. I don't believe that. No, it's really the dynamic of the couple. Like, if you're super codependent, then you choose to be like that, and you probably like that. Like, you probably don't really prefer your own time or your own company anyway. Right? Like, this, like, codependency is the only thing that makes you happy in the first place. So then, sure, go with it. But then there are those people who do like a balance of, okay, a bit of codependency, but then my own personal time as well. So in a healthy relationship, that is completely doable. You can have that. No, I actually think there is some freedom lost in a couple. But I think the difference here is that she didn't choose to lose her freedom. When you do become a couple, you choose to do that, and you want to do that, and you were excited to do that. And she never did, which is, I think, why it bothered me so much, is because she didn't choose to all of a sudden have someone tied to her. She was just
in that situation and just she had to pick one. It's not like she could pick no one. There wasn't an option for that, for her to pick no one. I think that's where I struggled with the book is that thing.
So it's the discussion between whether to stay single or not, having that option of whether you want to stay single and enjoy that type of freedom or be in a relationship and enjoy another kind of freedom. I see.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think as a couple, you do lose some freedom because you, out of love, you do have to consider the other person in your actions.
Right. Yeah.
You do lose that feeling of, I can do whatever I want, really. But you really can't, because some things your partner might not want you to do, or it might hurt your partner, right? So you can't be totally free, and that's totally fine because, you know, you want to be in that couple and you enjoy that. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it, I would say. It's just you have to go in knowing that you're in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Throughout the book, it's the power of choice with her, right? So the only choice she doesn't have is to be single, but she has a choice to be with whoever she wants to be with, right? I think what she struggled with is, well, how do I pick the right one? How does she know that she's making the right decision? My question is, what's your process of trusting the decisions you make?
Yes, I have a very straightforward answer for this, actually, which is that you have to really just know yourself, and you have to know your own values. You have to know what's a deal breaker for you. You have to know your feelings, in the sense that if you are feeling certain way, you should be able to recognize what you're feeling. So there is a certain age, I think, until, I don't really want to give a number, but like in life, let's just say that in your mid-20s or something, say until that age, you don't really know, you don't recognize what you're feeling. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it just so much happiness that it feels the same as fear? Like, you don't know what it feels like or what you are feeling. It's hard for you to give it a title. But after a certain age in your life, you really just learn to recognize your emotions in terms of like, okay, is this my intuition? Is this fear? Am I feeling happy? Is this calmness, or is it just not giving a shit? Right. So you really learn to recognize and understand the differences between your feelings. Once you are at that stage, or around that time, you also have your values very much set in life, or at least your deal breakers are set in life. Even if you don't have the positives or the values set in life, at least you know what you do not want in life. Right? Because you would know how to recognize your feelings. So you would know that, okay, I don't really want to feel this way anymore. And these are the sources that's bringing me that type of feeling. So, okay, so those are the deal breakers for me. When you are at that stage in your life, then it's just very easy for you to literally filter through people and keep only the ones that you can recognize that will work with you. That's my answer, but I don't know if I answered your question. I think you did ask that, okay, how do you know whether you have picked the right person or not?
Yeah, how do you know if you could be making a mistake?
Right, so you don't know 100%. That's for sure thing, right? So the best decision that you have to make at that time, again, comes from your own mindset, your own one self that you have built because of your own life experiences, your own feelings, and your own control over your emotions, your set of values and beliefs. All of that combined comes as a package, which is yourself. And you be with somebody, you realize that, hey, like, am I feeling calm? Am I feeling happy with this person? Is this person trustworthy? I think once you are past all of that stage of figuring out what you are feeling and what your beliefs are and things like that, you really start to understand vibes and energies as well. I'm a firm believer of that as well. So once you start recognizing vibes and energies combined with how you're feeling with so-and-so person, you tend to make a fairly logically and emotionally correct decision, in my opinion. But if things were to change, which, you know, life just takes turns that you are completely not prepared for sometimes, and sometimes it feels like magic, as like, okay, this person was behaving completely different until yesterday. I don't know what happened today. and onwards, they are a completely different person. If you face situations like that, only then it would turn up to be a wrong decision. And it's a possibility that it would turn up to be a wrong decision. It's never 100% anyway. But if you know yourself enough, then you would know what you'd be able to handle in terms of like, even if a person were to be a little bit different than what you had expected, but if you have mastered the art of communication, you know how to sit down with them and talk with them about it and try to bring a resolution. It's like making the best out of the relationship that you have, because you don't have time, or you don't have the attic like Lauren to just experience different partners over and over again, hoping to find that perfect relationship, right? And that was one of the things as well, is this book, or Lauren, the character, tries to chase perfection as well in her relationships through other people rather than herself. Right? Like she's not seeing it in herself. She's really just seeing that in a partner or in the relationship, which is, we all know, it's not really a sustainable way of going about a relationship.
That's very well said. And to the point of, you really have to know yourself before anything else, and the rest kind of just falls into place. Have you ever made a decision where you felt cold feet? Do you know the term cold feet?
Yeah, I know that term. Okay, in the past, I've never really been a good decision maker. Like, I haven't been very decisive. When I didn't know what decision to make, I would just be not making a decision. There could have been instances when I was probably forced into making a decision, and me knowing that I'm not ready to make a decision, it would probably turn up to be incorrect. That could have happened in the past. If I think about it very hard, I think that could have happened in the past.
Yeah.
Where I had been in a situation like that. But what about it? What's your question related to that?
Well, my question is, usually when you make a decision and you're not sure if you're making the right decision, that's when you tend to get cold feet, right?
True.
So if you know you're making the right decision, you have the utmost faith, which is what I found, is when I know that I'm making the right decision, I don't have any cold feet. And if I know that, I don't know, this could be a mistake, that's when I do get cold feet.
Have you faced any situations like that?
I can't really recall an instance where I've felt like I'm making the wrong decision. Maybe it's been like that I haven't just made a decision. That might have been the problem. But once I do make a decision, I am pretty decisive. And maybe my laziness sometimes can get into the way of, oh yeah, we can just put that off, and that might have been the biggest thing that I struggle with. But when it comes to making decisions, I usually know what I want, and I make that decision right away. And I'm usually forcing people to make a decision. Like, okay, do you know your mind? Let's make a decision. I know my mind pretty well. I'm just sometimes lazy.
I know that sometimes when those people who are slow in life, I think if they are probably rushed into making a decision, that would be similar feeling as cold feet, I think, because they're just not ready to make a decision, which is, I think we're saying almost the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. Like, if I was in Lauren's position and I found Carter, I think I would have burned down the apartment at that point. Would not have let that guy out of my sight.
But see, that was the whole point in this book, is that she didn't know she was gonna lose him. Yeah. Right? Like, if she had known that, then she would have probably burnt it down. But she didn't know that she was going to lose it, like in real life, that you could be losing that ideal partner that you wished that you would have in life, right?
So true.
But life does not give you what you want. Life gives you what you need. Always remember that. That's the easiest way to deal with the weird experiences that happen in life. Just know that maybe I need this in life. Maybe there's growth involved in this thing, whatever is happening.
Yeah, that's probably why, like, I made a quick decision on my husband. I'm like, I'm locking this shit down, and we're done. So he can't get away. He can't become a Carter.
Okay, I have a question for you. If you could change slightly every day, like Lauren, what kinds of changes would you want in life?
Just like slight minuscule changes.
Yeah, like how she changes some days. Like I think she wakes up with feeling like, a certain way some days, and then other days she's different, and that's when she had started to realize that, hey, maybe I'm also changing along with a new husband. So just in terms of that, if you had...
Yeah, if I had that, I think I would choose to become a more active person.
Add more physical activity.
Add more physical activity. Someone who enjoyed a lot more physical activity. I think that's what I would like to implement in life. Other than that, I think maybe if I could pick a different location outside of
Not living in Calgary.
No, not
Calgary.
That's what I would change. What about you? Would you change anything?
About myself, I think I would probably... It would be nice to be more decisive. It would be also nice to not be influenced easily. These would be a couple of things that I have in mind where I go like, this is something to work towards in life. Man, like I get influenced very easily. It shouldn't be like that. I should be a very strong-headed person, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not there yet. Or maybe I was at one point and then life beat me up and then maybe I'm not anymore. I thought I was, but I think I'm not.
I think you take your time with it. You take your time, and then once you're firm on something, you're firm. Then you don't change your mind, but you do take your time with it, which is not a bad thing at all. I think it's good to take your time with things and really think it through and then stand ground. So yeah, you might not make decisions right away, but people can make wrong decisions if they take it too fast.
That's true. I should really just keep this part of the recording, Jasnoor, and just, maybe write it down and put it like right in front of my face here on my vision board, and like, thank you. That was very nice way of explaining that.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you do it many times, and when I was younger, it would frustrate me that you would not make up your mind fast, because I'm like, I'm done. I've decided. What about you? But it's a really good quality to have, that you can take your time and decide something in your own time, than feel rushed by someone else.
Yeah, I'm inherently a slow person, so
it's nothing bad with that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Have you heard of that story? The rabbit and the turtle racing? The turtle wins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That I've heard ever since I was a child.
The turtle always wins.
Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. If you could change how the book ended, would you change it?
I don't think I would. I liked the ending. I liked her being so firm within herself enough to feel like she needs to burn this down and just keep whatever she has now, rather than having to constantly change it, because she's lost the best ones and she's lost the worst ones as well. So I think now at that point, by the ending, she's realized that it's really just her who has to put the effort into making any kind of relationship work. Like, it's about the effort in any relationship. It's not really the relationship being perfect. It's just you putting the effort to make the relationship the best way you need to, or the way you want. No, I would not change the ending. Nice. I think the ending was perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you have a different opinion on it?
I think the only thing, if I could change it, is I would actually make her go back to being single. I would want that for her.
Wouldn't she still have a choice now that she's like burned this down and this is the only guy she has? Now wouldn't she really have a choice to go like, okay, do I try to work it out with Sam, or maybe try it, but if it doesn't work, then she's
and that's a good point too. She now has to make the choice of whether to stay with him or not. But I think I would still have her be single, because this was kind of a given to her. This is like a husband in your lap that you never had to try to impress. You never had that initial like experience of like getting to know someone. It's kind of working backwards, because I really did like the phase of getting to know my partner in the beginning and trying to figure them out. And like there's like, you know, a lot of emotions involved and you're just trying to figure each other out. And those are like some really key building experience in your relationship that you do miss out on. And this way, like you both in the beginning decided to be together. And here, like she's decided to be with him partway through the relationship, right? And he has all this backstory with her that she doesn't really remember, or she has no memory of. So I would have her be single, learned all the things that she's learned through this process. And then, you know, maybe she runs into a guy at the bar and he's Sam, and then they like, you know, go dating and stuff like that, and eventually get married. And you know, that's what I would change it to. Because I don't like the shortcut of just having a husband, because it didn't really make the relationship. You were just kind of given it.
Yeah, that's very well put, I must say. You're right. Like, I think because, she did miss out on actually the experiences, because any of these people she had no memories on, right? So she just looked through her phones trying to figure out their names and everything, which means she had no memory. So she had nothing really to reflect on as well. So that's a very good ending.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, no.
That could actually be like a new ending in the sense that, like once she becomes single and then she stumbles upon Sam, for example, in a bar or something, that would for sure be something interesting to go forward
exactly
with.
That's the only thing I would change. What would you give the rating for this book out of 5?
Out of 5, I would probably give it a good 4.5.
Nice. Yeah, it's high up there for me too. I would give it a 4 just because I've read other books that are a lot more expansive, and then I would have to give them 6 stars if I gave this one more. So I would give this one a 4 stars, because like this is a really, really neat concept,
right?
And it's something different that I've never read before, and it was done so well that it definitely deserves a 4, maybe like a 4.25 even.
Yeah, and given my experience with reading, I don't have a lot of data, so for me this was like one of the best reads I've had. And I really appreciated how detailed everything was in, and it was just easy for me to imagine. I am a visual person as well, so the writing was easy enough for me to like read through and actually imagine. So that way, plus obviously the concept of the book was just brilliant in my opinion. It's a great way to demonstrate why it's necessary to understand your own self, your own values, and your perspective in life, and how your relationships need to be based on your efforts towards it. So it was a very smart way of explaining that and making people, because when you're reading, you're living through that whole life of, you know, the characters and everything. So great way for people to experience that.
Yeah. All right. Should we wrap up this week's episode?
Yes.
What are you loving this week, Roma?
Okay. So I've sort of ran out of things I'm loving. So I'm going to talk about the things I'm so much into. I know I talked about gardening stuff last week and everything, but that's something I'm like starting off soon. This book was something that was on my mind this week. I have been looking into Notion. That's another thing that I haven't actually talked about.
All right, the planning app.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I've talked about plannings in general, and I think I've mentioned Notion before because I've used it before, but I couldn't really figure out a lot in it. I knew that it would be great, and I tried using it. It didn't really work the best for me, so then I switched back to my calendars and my notebooks and my phone and things like that. But this time I actually decided to put effort into learning how it works and then seeing if I can actually implement that in my life, because the videos and everything that you watch of learning this app they are made by people who are extremely successful in YouTube and running a business and everything. Looking at them, taking them as an example, I would assume that it's a good idea to know this app and actually try to use it and see if you can implement that in your life. It's almost like learning Excel for the first time.
Okay. It's
useful, but you have to learn it, even though you know computers, even though you know all the other apps and everything, but you still have to learn the some of the key shortcuts and table versus Word document and things like that, like technical things like that. So that's something that I have been sort of looking into this week.
Is it a phone app or is it on your laptop?
So they have a desktop version. Okay. So you can actually have it in your laptop or your desktop as an app. So for you, it would actually be a better idea than what I have, because it's meant to be used on a desktop because of desktop being a much wider screen than a laptop. And it's an app that you can actually download and keep in your laptop or your desktop, like how you have a calendar app and you have your email app. Like email is a good example of it, like how you have an email app in your Apple desktop as compared to if you were to go on a web page and try to, sign into like Gmail and open up your email there. So you can do it both ways.
There's a phone app as well?
I believe there is a phone app. I haven't looked into it or downloaded, but I think there is a phone app because someone did mention that it's better to do it on a desktop than on your phone. There is a phone app, which is also very convenient because you can also put reminders in it. And if you were to absorb the information correctly and use the app efficiently, it's like a spider web of your whole life. So it's very neat in terms of organizing and being productive in life in general. So people like me who really like planning, this would be a great app for planners or those who have chaotic mind but just need a little bit of organization in their life. Be good for them.
I'll have to check it out. I use a plain old agenda, like a physical one. And I've used that ever since university. And I tried using my phone for a while, but that just doesn't work for me. I just don't put things on there. I only use my phone if I need like actual reminders, but everything else I actually write down in my agenda. So I'll have to take a look at this on the Notion app that you're talking about and see if that would work better, because I've never found anything like on my phone or like any software that I've really liked, because a lot of them are just a little bit too clunky for my opinion, and they don't do exactly what I want.
Right. And this one would actually do exactly what you want because of the way it's set, and you can be creative in it and actually create your own templates as well. So it allows you to do that. They have a lot of free templates available as well. So people would have like a habit tracker template. They have like a budget template. But obviously you can have your own templates as well. I was always looking for something that would allow me to differentiate between literally my family and everything else. That was always something of a search for me, but I never really found that anywhere else, because I always wanted to merge my work calendar with even my personal like appointments and everything in it, along with any creative projects that I would be doing, like everything in it together, regularly distributed over a period of months in terms of hours and things like that. I was never really able to find that, but I have a faith that I can probably do that in Notion.
That's cool.
So anyway, that's what I have been up to this past week, just random things of learning and personal development.
That's really cool. You'll have to tell us about it when you finish setting that all up.
Yes, I will. I have a feeling, or I wanted to actually create because it's a free account, wanted to create an account on Notion through Cardamom Chai as well, the Gmail account, and then anything that maybe we talk about here, because you can create things on there and then you can share it with public, like whether it's a template, like if we talk about anything specific in this podcast in terms of planning or budget or anything like that, we would be able to actually create a template and share it with people.
Oh, nice.
So our audience would be able to actually use that as a template in their own Notion workbook, basically.
That'd be cool.
So I'll look into things like that as well at a later date. But yeah. Okay. Anyways, what are you loving this week?
Okay, so this week I've been loving a TV show called MindHunter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, have you ever wondered how, like, some of FBI specifically can look at a crime scene and tell you what the murderer, what their age would be, what they look like, what ethnicity, how tall would they be? Have you ever wondered, do you know, like, that they can do that?
I think so. Closest thing to that would be Murdoch Mysteries for me. That's one show I've watched, and in that show, I have noticed how the guy Murdoch would be able to look at like cues and be able to judge sort of like the age group and things like that based on the common behaviors of certain age group or certain ethnicity. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this TV show is basically about that and how the FBI researched this behavior study on serial killers, what makes them tick essentially. So they can essentially look at a murder, what kind of things that the murderer left behind, and they can tell what kind of person they would be. There was a one case that they were looking into, and one of these guys in the science behavior unit was like, this guy is this old, this white guy, and he will have a stutter.
Okay.
And he would have trouble like talking properly because he would have a stutter, and he could tell that by just looking at the crime scene. And when they found...
So wait, so he would have a stutter when he's trying to kill, or just in general, like he had that?
Just in life.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're like now looking for a suspect, go through all their list of suspects, the police is doing that, and then they come across a guy that has a stutter.
Okay.
And which fits all the background information. Obviously, there's a ton of... They profile them basically,
Yeah.
and that turned out to be the serial killer, and that guy had a stutter.
How did they figure out that someone had a stutter? Like just based on the scene?
Just based on the scene. And so there's certain things you can pick up on the scene. So like this is gonna get pretty gruesome, so I don't really want to get into it, but if you are interested in finding that out, you should watch the TV show. And the book of the week this week is the book that the TV show is based on. Yeah, so you can watch this TV show called MindHunter. It's on Netflix, so anyone can watch it on Netflix. And it's the only nonfiction book that I'll ever recommend. This is the only one you're getting out of me, nonfiction-wise. But it was so interesting and cool to find out how they really developed the behavioral unit to figure out how these serial killers work. And they're getting really, really good at getting down to who could be a suspect, especially with like DNA and everything.
Yeah,
it's just getting much better.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched that on Sunday when my son was napping, so I had a good 2 hour to watch that, and I watched like 2 episodes and I got hooked.
Okay, is this on Netflix? You said?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and I read the book like a while ago, and I knew there was a TV show based on it.
Nice. Okay, cool. Good to know that.
But that's it. That's all we have for you guys for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, on Cardamom Chai Podcast. And if you want to get in touch with us over email, send any questions, suggestions, or what you would like to see on the podcast, you can email us at cardamomchaipodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, and also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, you guys. And yeah, we hope you had fun listening to this podcast. I am so proud of myself for having to record this podcast, actually, because it was on a book, and I always just knew others reading a book and recording a podcast on a book review, and now it's me doing it. So I'm just so proud of myself for that. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah, maybe we can do some more in the future, but check us out every Thursday on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Podcast, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Yep, bye.